All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashley Beck. I am a regional rep for the University of Kentucky. I'm joined in this first portion with Samantha Thomas. She is the regional rep for Kansas State University. She'll be helping me kind of co-present this presentation on the college search process. And then Amanda Sisk, the regional rep for the University of Alabama. She will be monitoring the chat for us. So as you all kind of go throughout this presentation, this first 30 minutes, just watch the chat. If you all have any questions, feel free to submit any questions. Amanda is also going to be putting in some useful links for you guys to our website that you all can access to go into the breakout rooms after this. But also she just posted a link to a form. And so if you would like to go to the chat right now, you all can copy that link, pull up that form as you go along. Not only will it provide feedback for us, but it also at the very end allows you to check all of our institutions that you're interested in hearing back from. So you won't hear back from all of us at the end. If you don't want to, we're allowing you to choose who you hear back from. So with that being said, I'll tell you a little bit about the St. Louis area regional representatives who we're all a part of. So we're made up of almost 30 regional representatives from across the US, but predominantly here in Missouri, Illinois, but kind of throughout the Southeast as well. And we all live here locally in St. Louis. So we're the people who you would normally in a normal year see at your high schools, visiting, going to college fairs, and now this fall, we're the ones you're going to be meeting with virtually as you go throughout your college search process. And so definitely utilize us. We're going to be hosting these college search series events throughout the fall, and then I'm sure we're going to come up with some more events for the spring kind of to help you guys out. Tonight, our schedule of events, the first 30 minutes from 6 to 6:30, Sammy and I will be giving this welcome session, basically telling you how to begin your college search, applying to colleges, and then about the admissions process. From 6:30 to 7:05, you guys will then switch rooms. So you have two options. There's two breakout rooms you can choose from. It doesn't matter where you begin. But that's we have our reps kind of broken into two rooms. You all can pop in there. And so for 35 minutes, you'll hear a quick 2.5-minute spiel from each of our representatives. And then at 7:40, that's when this program officially ends, but you have the option of attending an individual Q&A with any of our institutions afterwards. So from 7:40 to 8 o'clock on our website, which we will post a link in the chat box a little later. You can go there, and if you want to ask me some questions, go to the University of Kentucky's page. If you want to ask any of our other reps, we have all of the links scheduled there, but that is totally optional. And Sammy is going to get us started with our welcome session.
Okay, hello everyone. How's it going? Like Ashley said, my name is Sammy. I am the regional rep with Kansas State University. So I'm going to start us off today just talking about how you start your college search and what that looks like. So we've listed a couple ways on there that you can start to research schools and explore all the universities that are out there. Like Ashley said, there are 30 of us in STARR, and we're kind of your regional presence to help tell you a little bit more about our schools, but there are tons and tons of ways that you can research schools and get to know a little bit more. So something really popular this fall are virtual college fairs. So those are kind of like what you're doing right now, whether they're on Zoom or some other platform where you're able to come and kind of virtually meet with different representatives, like you'll be able to do at the end of the night tonight. Ask some questions, find out about applications, deadlines, all those kinds of things, and get some good kind of virtual one-on-one time with different representatives. You also have the traditional high school visit. If you've ever visited with a college rep, maybe in the past year and years past, we come to your high school and we sit down for 30, 45 minutes and give you a little bit of a presentation about our school. It's a really great way to hear just kind of the overall vibe of the school, things that you need to know, and just kind of get your foot in the water as you're exploring. But along with that, you have websites, mailing lists, social media. Things are better than they've ever been before to explore your schools online. So signing up for mailing lists, making sure that you're getting all the information that you need to make informed decisions and be in the loop as you're beginning to research schools. So you can do that just by going on Google and Googling K-State information or Alabama information or how you get those kind of things and just sign up for those lists. and keeping up with social media. All of our universities are across all of the platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, things like that. That is a great way to get an inside look on the school and kind of what it feels like. So as you're getting ready to start looking and making decisions, it can be helpful to understand what factors are going to go into your college decision. So a lot of times us as representatives will ask you, what is your college decision going to come down to? What are those big factors, those things that you're considering along the way? And we've just listed a couple different things that might help you begin to narrow down your search or get a better idea of what kinds of schools you should be looking at. So we listed things like location. Do you want to be in an urban town, in a city, in a metropolis, or do you want to be somewhere more rural? Do you want to be at a public school or a private school? Does that matter to you? Have you thought about that? Is the average class size something that you're thinking about? Do you want to be in a school where the classes that you take feel like in high school, where they're going to be a little bit smaller, or does that not matter to you? And of course, total out of pocket cost, considering things like aid and cost of attendance and how affordable a school is for you, along with ultimately just, does the school line up with your fit for achieving the career goals that you want and the dreams that you want for your life? Ultimately, no matter where you choose to go to school, your goal is to get an education that's going to prepare you for a great future. And does the school that you're looking at do that for you? So those are just kind of some things that you can think about. But once you're considering those factors, you can actually go off and research different majors, different career interests, and things like that. Consider your strengths, your hobbies, your interests, your goals, and explore majors that can get you there. Do you like science? Do you really enjoy those classes? Do you really enjoy math in school? Well, those things often lead to a great interest in things like engineering or natural-based resources or things like that. So find those things that you're interested in and explore majors that are connected to that, because ultimately, when you're studying in a major in college that's something you enjoy, you're going to be so good at it, your grades are going to be great, and you're going to feel really committed to getting through that major. So compare your interests to programs offered at all the schools that you're considering. Look at the schools and look at their list of majors. Do they have a major that is going to line up with your interest and with those ultimate goals? And as you're doing that, a really great program that we have right here in St. Louis is called Mentors for College. And I'm going to have Ashley come back on and kind of tell you all a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Mentors for College is a local nonprofit here in St. Louis, and basically their mission is to pair students and families, the mentees, with community volunteers who will help them throughout their college search process. So they will begin working with families. I'm a mentor. Sometimes we begin working with families starting the student's freshman year, or we meet them midway through their senior year, and we're going to help them catch up. But basically, you know, a lot of high schools, their college counselors, they have a really big caseload of students to be in charge of and help throughout the college search process, and they just can't get to everyone. And sometimes students fall through the cracks, and we don't want that to happen to you guys. So if you're interested potentially in Mentors for College and being paired with a mentor from the St. Louis area, I'm going to drop a link in the chat box, and you all will be able to see their brochure as well as a link to their website.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Ashley. Well, I talked a little bit before about virtual opportunities, but want to take a minute to talk about some of those things again. Virtual campus visits have sort of been a thing before, but due to the COVID era and just different circumstances, a lot of universities are offering virtual campus visits and tours. You can meet with academic areas or campus resources, different programs, different offices, all virtually now. So that's something to explore as you're kind of beginning your college search and you get a better idea of what types of schools you're looking at, what area, things like that. So that's a great opportunity that you have to go online and explore your university from the comfort of your own home. Another great resource, MOACAC, is the Missouri Association for College Admission Counseling. It's kind of like the overarching organization in Missouri that helps students find their colleges. They are hosting an event called the Show Me My Future Virtual Exploration Fair, and it actually starts this Sunday. So that is a great opportunity. Colleges are offering individual sessions, kind of like the high school visits that I mentioned before, where you can go and hear about one specific school. But there are trade programs talking about the different ways that you can get involved. There are topic-based sessions and panels around specific things like schools from a certain state, or large universities or small universities. There's a huge variety of all these different things, and you are able to sign up for that. It's completely free for students and is another just really great way to go in and explore colleges. So kind of the last big virtual opportunity that you have that you might not know about are one-on-one conversations, especially through websites like Calendly. It is a scheduling tool for you to set up one-on-one conversations either over the phone or Zoom or Skype with your admissions representative. So get in touch with the school and say, hey, my family wants to have a conversation. I'm curious about this. Can you tell me about this program? And it's the best thing that you can do right now to get to know a school, and we can kind of virtually sit down with you one-on-one and answer some of those questions that you or your family might have. So I just kind of want to wrap this up in this section with a tip. We're going to have a couple CSS tips that are some of our best practices or things that will really kind of ramp up your college search. The first one is creating a college email to organize all of your college communications. I'm going to just put some examples on the screen right there. SCT College, Ashley STL, and that just really helps you. The simpler, the better, and the easier to remember, the better. We can't tell you how many funny email addresses students sign up with to get information about our schools, and I'm always impressed when a student really just has a nice, clean email address where they can keep everything that I'm sending them, and they can get information from all the schools that they're interested in. So that's just a tip that you can take away from this that will really help make sure that your college search is as best as possible.
Yeah, and then after you choose a college, you never have to check that email again. You won't be bombarded with all of the emails from every other school you applied to. Just do away with it after that. Step 2 is actually applying to colleges. So as you begin applying, there's kind of some lingo that we want you to familiarize yourself with. Early decision is one of them. When you apply to a school early decision, it means that if you are admitted to that school, you must attend. So it is binding. You may only apply to one school early decision. You might also hear some students call that ED. I'm applying ED to this institution. But just know that if you are admitted to that school, you must attend. It is binding. These are typically your more selective kind of Ivy League schools. You won't find a lot of like the large public universities that will have any type of ED deadline or decision. Early action is probably a little bit more common. You'll hear the term early action pretty frequently. Unlike early decision, early action is not binding, meaning you can apply to as many schools early action as you would like. If you are admitted to it, great, you still have a choice on which one you would like to attend. So for example, the University of Kentucky, Alabama, and Kansas State were all early action. You can apply to each of us. If you're admitted, then you have a choice. Because it isn't binding, a lot of times when you apply to a school early action, you also receive an admission decision a little bit sooner. But you also have until May 1st of your senior year to decide where you would like to attend. So by kind of our governing rules and regulations, you should never feel like you're pressured to choose where you must attend college any earlier than May 1st. So just keep that in mind. Another vocabulary word you might want to familiarize yourself with is priority deadline. This is usually associated with some type of merit-based scholarships. For example, needing to have your application and any additional supplemental materials in by a certain date to meet their priority deadline. The big takeaway with this one is that you don't meet the priority deadline usually just by hitting send on your application. You also need any supplemental documents into the university as well. So that could be a letter of recommendation, an application fee. There's a couple of other things that I'm going to go over later, but just know it's not just your application. Rolling admission means that as you apply, schools that use rolling admission will actually review your application as they're received. So if you apply in August, most likely they're going to immediately review your application. You'll usually hear back within a couple weeks. Whereas if you applied on a regular admission, regular not rolling, it means that they will not review your application until after a certain date. So if they have a deadline of December 15th, no matter if you apply in August or if you apply on December 15th, they will not begin reviewing applications until the next day, December 16th. So those are just kind of to review some of the vocab words that you might see on our applications. Now, what are some typical application requirements? Obviously, the application is necessary, but there are different types of applications. Most of us will have an individual university or an institutional application on our websites. These are typically shorter, and so you can probably apply pretty quickly individually to institutions. However, if you plan on applying to multiple universities, check to see if they are members of either Coalition, Common App, or the Common Black College application, because these applications allow you to apply to multiple schools with one application. So while the Common App and Coalition are lengthy because they are comprehensive and they want to try to ask you every possible thing any university would want to know about you, they take a long time it takes a long time to complete, but then you're able to apply to multiple universities with that one application. However, if a university has a supplemental essay or something else you might need to submit, that will be loaded on there for you to complete in that application as well. So it might be good just to sit down and think, how many universities am I applying to and how do I want to apply? Just their one institutional application or through a comprehensive application like the Coalition or Common App. The Common Black College application is specifically for HBCUs or historically Black colleges and universities. So if you find yourself wanting to apply to multiple at once, then check out the Common Black College application. Colleges might also ask you for an application fee. Typically these are around $50, but I've seen them go up to $70. So it can be pretty costly applying to colleges, especially if you're applying to a lot. So keep in mind, some of them will offer fee waivers. So if you are on free or reduced lunch, if you have any type of ACT or Common App fee waiver, or if you just have an extenuating circumstance in your family, if COVID hit your family hard and your parent lost their job and you just can't afford to pay every single application fee, you can let your high school counselor know or let your college recruiter know, and we will help you out with that. Your high school counselor can send in documentation and usually that fee can be waived. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Some universities will ask for test scores, usually SAT or ACT. Some of us will accept either. Some schools have a preference. You'll have to check on that because every institution is different. But due to COVID and a lot of the tests being canceled since last spring, many universities are finding themselves going test optional for this fall 2020-2021 class. That means that you are able to apply to their institution without submitting test scores, whether you don't have any or you just choose, maybe you didn't get a score you liked and you just want to choose not to send them. But even if you don't send them, you can still possibly be admitted. So you might want to check to see which schools are now test optional for the fall. But in that, you want to clarify whether they're test optional only for admission or for scholarships as well. Because some universities may say, hey, you don't need to submit scores to be admitted, but if you want some money, if you want our scholarship funds or to qualify for them, you must submit a test score. So you can be test optional for one, but not the other. So it's a good thing to check. You also might ask if they super score for admissions and or for scholarships. A super score means that they take your average score from all subject tests on the ACT, and they'll take your highest score and average them together. So usually your super scores typically higher than your composite score, which is your score for one sitting. A couple of other things you might see, some schools might ask for an academic letter of recommendation. This isn't where you would ask maybe a family member or someone. You want to know someone who knows you academically, a favorite teacher, a course director, a mentor, someone like that, someone who can speak to your academic track record and your potential. You also want to be cognizant that these take a lot of time to write. And so you want to give them at least 3 weeks notice when you ask them to write you a letter of recommendation. If they graciously say yes, then be polite. A handwritten thank you card can go a long way for someone who took, the time out of their day to do something really kind for you. Admissions essays. A lot of us will require admissions essays as well. Be careful not to regurgitate anything that, just what you've already put on your application. We can see what you're involved in and what you've done and the grades you've taken, but we want to know about you, your character, your values, your beliefs. We want to know who you are. So use that admissions essay to do that. You might also submit a resume if you don't have enough space to type up to input everything you've been involved in. You can attach a resume, and then specific additional requirements may be an audition, an additional application, or a portfolio if you are applying into a specific academic college or department like fine arts. You might have to audition to be in a dance program. You might have to submit a portfolio, for example, for the architecture program. And then a CSS tip, make a spreadsheet to stay organized. In addition to creating your own college email, go ahead, make a spreadsheet. These are some topics you can put kind of as column headers. The name of the school, the deadlines, what they require, when you applied, when you were admitted. Have one space where you can keep all of that because this process can get messy and every college is different. So this is probably one of the biggest tips we can give you. Start this today if you haven't done one already.
Okay, so you've applied, and now how are decisions made? So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So there are kind of two major types of ways that decisions are made for universities. Assured or automatic, meaning that there's some kind of set admission requirement, whether it be a certain GPA or traditionally a certain test score, being an ACT or an SAT. And you reach those benchmarks and you are able to be admitted automatically. And then you have holistic review, which looks at you as an entire student. That's going to consider more than just your test scores, your resume, your involvement, comparing you to other students in the applicant pool, and maybe even sometimes includes an admissions interview. That kind of admission is not a guarantee. It's just a different approach that looks at you and wants to get to know you a little bit more and find out if you're a great fit for that school. Time frame for the decision is different school to school. When should you hear back? Check with the admissions rep at the school to kind of figure out what their traditional timeline is. Like I said, it's different school to school. And if you're concerned that your admission application has just been sitting for too long and you're kind of curious, hey, what's going on? I haven't heard anything. That is completely fair for you to check in and say, hey, I haven't heard anything in a long time. Am I missing anything? Maybe you're missing some materials. Maybe you're missing something that you needed to turn in, or maybe your payment didn't go through for your application. No matter the reason, that is totally fair for you to kind of check in and ask and just make sure that things are moving along smoothly so that you can get that decision and keep moving along in your college search. Our next kind of tip, now that you know more about the process, we want to equip you with some great questions to help kickstart your search. I know when we talk to students a lot, I will ask, what kind of questions do you have? And it's kind of hard to know what you should ask. So we just kind of wanted to put some of those up there, asking things like, what are your popular majors? How can I get involved? Can I do research? How diverse is your college? And all of these questions are individual to you. Your college search is personal and you're looking for certain things. Do not be afraid to ask the important questions, the tough questions that really matter and are going to help you ultimately decide what school is going to be your dream school. I know that it can be a little intimidating, but don't be afraid to ask those questions. As your college reps, it is 100% our job to help answer questions and help point students in the right direction. So please ask us anything that you need. Don't be afraid to connect with us, and we will do our best to get you the answers that you need in a timely manner.